Hello, everyone. Let's look again at the 144,000 because in the book of Revelation chapter 4, it visits the topic again. There's a little interlude that happens in chapter 14. We're not doing it on Sunday, so I just want to be able to do it during the week. Let me read it for you. Revelation 14:1. Then I looked, and behold, the Lamb was standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven like the sound of many waters and like the sound of loud thunder. And the voice which I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn the song except 144,000 who had been purchased from the earth. These are the ones who have not defiled themselves with women, for they are celibate. These are the ones who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been purchased from mankind as first fruits to God and to the Lamb, and no lie was found in their mouths. They are blameless. So as we're looking at this passage right here, there's 144,000 that by the revelation that's given to us in this book, we see that there was 12,000 from the 12 tribes of Israel. In that passage you just read, it's called the first fruits. Why are they the first fruits? This 144,000, they're Jewish. And they're the first fruits of the nation of Israel coming to the Lord, where they're going to recognize who he is as the Messiah. So as we're looking at this passage right here, we have this amazing glimpse of them, and that the Apostle John hears the sound of many waters, and he hears the sound of thunder, which is also a description of how the voice of Jesus sounds. So it's part of that, the volume of heaven. I mean, heaven is going to be a very noisy place. Sometimes we try to people say, well, keep your church kind of quiet, it's more sacred. Well, nothing's more sacred than heaven. There's a lot of noise going on up there. And so we find out that the 144,000 are singing to the Lord, and there's the playing of harps, and all this stuff is going on. And I think that they reflect the sound of the voice of the Lamb of God, because it's even possible that there's glimpses in the scriptures that the Lord sings over us. And I think it's very possible that the sound is of the Lamb singing with the 144,000, because they're the only ones that know the song and they hear it. And I can just imagine that they're singing this song with Jesus. Now we're finding out in this passage, aren't we, that these are virgins. They're celibate, and that they go wherever the Lord goes, wherever the Lord asks them. So these 144,000 are saved Jews during the tribulation period, after the church has been taken out, and that they are the ones that are spreading the news. No, Jesus is the Messiah, and people are coming to him. And so we're finding out that they're the voice that warns against people taking, or giving allegiance to this Antichrist. So as we're looking at this and finding out that they were virgins and they were celibate, why is that so important? Because we find out in verse 8 that when Babylon falls, which is the world system, the demonic, devilish system that's in the world today, the Bible teaches us that system has spread to the nations with sexual immorality. So these 144,000 men have never been with a woman, and they are set apart. Not that it's wrong. God created our sexuality, but immorality, sexual perversion will be so great that they will be set apart solely unto the Lord. And it just reminds me, as we get closer to the last days, remember what Timothy said in 1 Timothy chapter 4. But the Spirit explicitly says that in later times, some will fall away from the faith, paying attention to deceitful spirits and teachings of demons, by means of the hypocrisy of liars, seared in their own conscience as with a branding iron, who forbid marriage and advocate abstaining from foods which God has created to be gratefully shared in by those who believe and know the truth. So the Bible warns us through Paul writing to Timothy what it will be like before the coming of Christ in the last days. And he says there's two signs of it. One, they will forbid the marriage, forbid to marry. Marriage will be forbidden. So do you realize that now we've created this culture where people aren't getting married, and they're fornicating and they're doing immoral things? But it's going to get to the point where they're actually going to forbid to be married. And I can picture right now they're going to say, oh, that's some kind of patriarchal Western culture Black Lives Matter has said that they're going to dismantle the Western view of marriage. Well, what does that mean, dismantle marriage? They already started to dismantle marriage and made it irrelevant and took away it being sacred when they said men can marry men and women can marry women. So it's going to get to the point where they just say, marriage is forbidden. So that means sexual relationships will be not anywhere without, there will be no covenant. And then it also says there that they will forbid to eat meat. Now, one thing we know about fasting, and particularly about fasting meat, is that it awakens people to a spiritual sensitivity. So it's going to be a double whammy. They're not going to be eating meat, which actually, when you fast, it can stir up other passions, like even the sexual desire can increase when you fast, but it also opens up people to spiritual sensitivity and to the demonic. So there's a big movement right now, and Bill Gates is involved about, we need to get people to stop eating meat. And then they also want to redefine marriage. That's a sign of the last days, to make people sexually vulnerable and then actually enter into lifestyles of immorality. So that's just an interesting point right there. And these 144,000 are set apart unto the Lord.